Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2022, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs 2030, as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute and Center for Arts, Sciences and Well-being. Before we start our session, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue to today's sessions. Today, we are also commemorating various international, national events. So let's quickly today is International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction and also Disaster Day, and also International Day for Failure and International Day for the Natural Disaster Reduction, International Skeptics Day, and today is also Karwa Chauth, which is widely celebrated in India. And today is also Metastatic Breast Awareness Day and Herpes Awareness Day and National Train Your Brain Day. And World Sight Day, World Thrombosis Day. We have a lot of commemorations, but we will look into some of them. So today is International Disaster Day. Let's quickly look into that. Internationally, it is observed so initially known as a Disaster Day and also International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction and also International Day for Natural Disasters Reduction Day. It is known, in different ways, having different significance, but all the three mean same. So let's look at this. So this today, International Day for Disaster Reduction, is significant because a specialized international forum for discussion and exhibition of global and local initiatives for disaster management and reduction is organized. The mission of United Nations General Assembly decade-long declaration for natural disaster reduction during 1990s was to decrease the loss of life, property, and the disruption of socio-economical structures. In disaster hit areas, as part of decade-long project International Day of Disaster Reduction or simply Disaster Day emerged. The world first observed Disaster Day in 1989 after the UN General Assembly rolled out the initiative to promote a culture of awareness on disaster risk reduction. So with this, 1990s was declared the International Decade for Natural Disaster Reduction. Although natural disasters are spontaneous, we can prepare to handle them and reduce damage to minimum through collaborative efforts. In this regard, the UN and many other organizations have created social work initiatives that have worked together to spread awareness on how to be prepared in any natural disaster situation. In America, the Federal Management Agency, FEMA, a federal institute under the US Department of Interior, leads the response to any disaster that hits any part of the country. Since its formation in 1979, it has worked to develop a preparedness strategy and response mechanism against any kind of emergency, natural or man-made. Since UN General Assembly declaration for every country to establish a disaster management and reduction department, FEMA has focused its attention on spreading monitoring and situational awareness, pre-disaster evaluation, response and recovery strategy, and the ways to return to state level operations. As part of the observance of Disaster Day, FEMA has worked in close collaborations with the United Nations sponsored bodies and has encouraged representatives from concerned organizations to come together to arrange sessions to spread awareness on how to prepare for a disaster and tackle the situation after a disaster hits an area. There are few, occasions where disasters where we have seen the great impact. In 1816, volcano dust from an eruption in Indonesia spread so far that it affects reached Canada and US, and which resulted in an incredibly cold winter and widespread famine. And that year was entire without summer because it was entire that volcanic dust covered the sky, and that sun rays couldn't reach the surface of the earth. So entire year there was no sun rays, sunshine on the earth in those areas, most of the areas from Indonesia to Canada, US, and most of the areas. So it was very cold incredibly cold winter and widespread famine was prevailing in 1816. And between 2000 and 2012, the destruction by natural disasters worldwide has caused damage in excess of $1.7 trillion. And in 2012 alone, 905 natural catastrophes were recorded. And technically, natural disasters are actually natural hazards because we cannot prevent them. We can only just try to minimize them or manage them. And allocation for emergency response and management is about 20 times higher than for disaster preparedness and awareness. And we can learn from the past catastrophes all year round, but a dedicated day to look back and reflect on how to reduce the risk of disaster can actually make a difference and raise the level of response in an emergency. So to spread awareness, once a person has knowledge, it becomes a social responsibility to spread it to their community. This way, more and more people can learn and be prepared to handle a disaster. And educated minds can sit together and come up with effective strategies and frameworks to advance the preparedness level for any kind of disaster. These frameworks would prepare the world for both natural hazards and man-made catastrophes. And today is a chance to recognize the progress made in addressing vulnerability to disasters and the loss of lives, economies, and health. So the day honors people and communities all over the world who are working to reduce their vulnerability to disasters and raise awareness about the urgency of lowering the dangers they face. So disaster resilience is response to catastrophic weather events and other natural and man-made disasters requires international cooperations in the form of official development aid, in short known as ODA, as well as capacity building. In 2022, the General Assembly resolved to keep the yearly commemoration as a tool for promoting a global mindset of natural disaster mitigation, covering prevention and preparedness. And the United Nations General Assembly resolved in 2009 to make October 13 the official date to rename it to International Day for Disaster Reduction. And the international community was informed in 2015 at the third UN Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Sendai, Japan, that disasters strike worst at local level with the possibility of creating tremendous social and economic devastation. Every year, millions of people are displaced by sudden disaster outbreaks, catastrophic events, many of which have been aggravated by global warming, have a detrimental influence on sustainable development, investment, and its desired outcomes. Disasters significantly affect low and middle income countries, especially in terms of fatalities and the number of persons injured or displaced and the damage to key infrastructure, while other problems, global problems were seen pressing, hunger, poverty cannot be eradicated if we do not address disaster risk reduction. So if you see, which is a country which has almost no natural disasters, since 1900, Qatar boasts the lowest disaster risk This is because of its remote location from disaster-prone regions in Southeast Asia, Oceania, and Central America. And Ecuador and Switzerland leads the rest of the globe in disaster risk reduction as seen by their 4.8 HFA progress score. Switzerland has put a lot of money into early warning systems that can predict events like avalanches, landslides, and floods. And the most powerful earthquake that was recorded is in Valdivia earthquake in southern Chile in 1960, and avalanches can reach about 80 miles per hour in just 5 seconds. The lava erupting from Hawaii's Calo volcano burns at a square 2120 degrees Fahrenheit, and tornado winds often reach 300 miles per hour, which is twice the speed of a hurricane. And besides wildfires and floods have the highest occurrence among natural disasters in US. So with this, we end the commemoration. And today is also International Day for Failure, which is celebrated with much zeal and learning around the world. Do you know that Aalto University in Finland has something to do with this creation of International Day for Failure? It may be strange, even ironic for a country like Finland, where, in those in whose culture failure is not the norm, to have initiated the idea of a day solely dedicated to the celebration of failure. They could embrace it, and we see no reason why the rest of us can't. So International Day for Failure started as an initiative of students at Aalto University in Finland before it became an annually celebrated global holiday. The students reasoned that Finland needed an increase in small startup business, but typical Finn abhors failure and would be averse to startups. The fear of failing and the stigma that may follow discouraged many potential Finnish entrepreneurs from venturing. Hence, idea of creating a day to celebrate failure, which they believed would in turn remove the phobia for taking risks and invariably increase the number of startups. So the first holiday was celebrated in 2010 by a group of students in Finland, and by the time the second event was to held, it has already begun to gain huge media coverage and support from influential Finnish people and companies. So much so that by the third year, the group students has organized an expansion of the event to celebrate the Finland Day of Failure to around 17 other countries. They also had huge support from Nokia's chair of the board of directors, Jorma Olila, and Angry Birds creator, Peter Westerbacka. Even now, the events held around celebrating the day serves as a platform for popular Finnish personalities to share their stories of their defeats that later turned into wins. The idea around the day is to spread the argument that the making mistakes and failing is normal and is even an invaluable part of person's growth and eventual success. International Day for Failure encourages people to try new and daring things, motivates and inspires others to succeed through sharing stories of successful people, their failures on the way up. Just about every successful and celebrated person on the planet has failed at multiple points of their life, from Bill Gates to Oprah Winfrey to Walt Disney to J.K. Rowling, all of whom had their fair share of failures in their life. And how do we celebrate failure? Start to think of it as a normal process of growth. Failures are inevitable for everyone. Taking risks, and we can take risks all the time, consciously or unconsciously, and are even needful sometimes. And we can see the height of failures. Thomas Edison's failure is perhaps the most referenced. He failed 1,000 times before he finally invented the bulb. No, we just failed one time, two times, three times, and we feel ashamed, and we never try again. But had to see the commitment, the dedication that Thomas Edison was having. He tried 1,000 times and finally he succeeded. So we should not get demotivated, or we should not get disappointed by these failures. In spite every failure, we need to see in such a way and learn from the failures, so that we develop from the failures. And also dare to fail at something. Do something you are afraid of, like uh, anything. You can ask, uh, if you are afraid of doing something, do it. If you are afraid of asking something, ask it. If you are afraid of telling something, tell it. So take the risk, fail at something. Think about how you can learn from your failures or failures from others. Surprisingly, people learn more in failing than in succeeding. And by 2011, the second year of International Day of Failure celebration, the day has gained so much publicity that mobile phone brand Nokia chair Jorma Olilia spoke in support of it. And the original aim, as we have already mentioned, is to eh, motivate, and out of fear that entrepreneurial spirit in the country would be damaged if the fear people have of starting business and failing persist in Finland. And especially this day solely started to make feeling or failing acceptable and seen as a normal process of human growth. And International Day for Failure recognizes many people like Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, all failed before they achieved success, what they are enjoying today. And as quoted by Robert F. Kennedy, only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. And failure happens all the time. So it makes sense to cheer up after one, learn from it, and keep moving. And encourage those who have turned their failures into huge success to share their stories to motivate us. And it's about neutralizing the stigma around failing. Society doesn't see failures as something we should be proud of, but through this day, we want to change that, and we celebrate the day to neutralize all stigmas and dogmas and help people see why failing could be something people need at various points in their lives. And we celebrate for this day for failure so we can glean wisdom from experience of others. We want to know how they scaled through and what they have learned from. Today is also International Skeptics Day. Like most things, skepticism is also good in moderation. But today, on International Skeptics Day, let's go ahead and question some of our beliefs. The investigation of our assumptions can be fruitful and worthwhile. So, research thus far has not revealed an inaugural year of recognizing International Skeptics Day, nor does skepticism itself follow a clear timeline that would be punctuated by specific events. But as a paradigm within which to operate, skepticism shows no loss of momentum. With periodicals like The Skeptic and Skeptical Inquirer still in print, along with the podcasts, TV documentaries, and meetup groups all over the world, the doubting Thomas who is reading those words should have no trouble finding like minded people, whatever his or her content location. The word skeptic comes from the Greek word skepsis, meaning investigation. The skeptics in the ancient period were actual individuals comprising of a school of thought in the literal sense of the phrase. They ultimately goal or their ultimate goal was a life without belief. In written arguments, a skeptic would often be found debating with a stoic and or cynic or Epicurean or interlocutors or interlocutors whose main function in the writing would be to elicit the opinions of skeptic for all to read. In the modern day, skepticism is considered a sign of intelligence because it indicates a desire to get at the real truth. But skepticism is an individual in an individual can also stem from a feeling of insufficiency on their part. So today uh, is also International Civility for the Girl Child Day, which is commemorated international, is to honor, promote, and support a girl's right to make her own decisions. It is also a celebration of the wisdom, tenacity, and intellect of girls who are fully capable of making their own choices. Just as boys, their age are, the day prompts girls to follow the golden rule and achieve whatever they want in their life, brought into existence by American civility expert Luisa Acaiso in 2020. The holiday motivates us to fight for a world in which girls have the liberty and civility to do whatever they want in life. So women and girls live lesser lives in fear and anticipation of male violence. In a world in which girls are commanded, overruled, threatened, and silenced for expressing their thoughts, the observation encourages them to find uh, Every woman and girl must have the liberty to chase their potential, live a life that's free of any form of violence, and express their views without a threat of retribution. This day also seeks to restore the dignity of the life of a girl. For us to exude greatness, they need to embrace their uniqueness. Through legislation and retrospection, we can end all forms of discrimination against the girls everywhere in the world. The day urges us to identify and eliminate all forms of violence against women in private and public places, including human trafficking and sexual exploitation. So, liberated girls grow up to be a free women who carry nations forward. From the moment that they can, girls must take and make measured decisions about their education, careers, and personal lives. An investment in girls from the very beginning of their lives promises a more prosperous and equitable future. Girls are half of humanity, and the world awaits their input as we seek to battle growing crises such as climate change, economic growth, political conflict, and a global sustainability. So, celebrate girl power by uplifting stories of female empowerment and female excellence, extending a helping hand to a woman in need and creating powerful networks that can be convinced into actionable resources. International civility for the girl child validates the girls around the world and reaffirms their fight against the conditions that hold them back. And today is also English Language Day. English language is considered as an international language, and to commemorate the day, Parliament was opened for the first time by a speech in English in 1362 rather than in French. The day also celebrates the universality of the language and how it has evolved over the centuries. Scholars believe that there is no true version of the language, as over 7,000 variations of English can be found in this world right now. English has also been adopted many words from other languages other than speech. English has also become the primary language for movies, TV shows, literature, and music. The English Project launched the world's first ever English Language Day on October 13th in 2009. English Language Day is celebrated to commemorate October 13, 1362, when the parliament was opened for the first time by a speech in English instead of French. In the same parliament, a statute of pleading was approved that allowed members in debate to use English language. And this made English the official language of law and lawmaking. English is a vast language. There are more than 250,000 words in the Oxford Dictionary, minus a lot of technical, scientific, and slang words. English is probably the only language with as many synonyms for many of its words, largely because of its enormous absorbing capacity, borrowing words from as many languages as possible, including German, Greek, Portuguese, French, Latin, and even the language of the colonies where it became widespread. Years of colonialism meant that English now has also words from Asian, the Caribbean, and the African cultures. The English language has always been eager to adopt words and phrases from other languages. The willingness to adapt itself is probably what makes English so different from other languages, such as French. The English language is easily the most broadly used and spoken language on the planet, and it enjoys a good reputation for adapting words, concepts, and cultural influence from around the world. This adds to the language enormous vocabulary, one that is full of odd rules, spellings, and grammar. English Language Day remembers and celebrates the incredible popularity of the language and even its eccentricities. And English is recognized as an official language in a total of 67 different countries, as well as 27 non-sovereign entities. And as far as the history goes, Sanskrit stands as the first spoken language because it dates to as far as 5000 BC. Yet, new information indicates that although Sanskrit uh, is among the oldest spoken languages, other languages like Tamil, Telugu dates in a similar fashion. So you would be surprised to find out how so many common English words actually have roots in different languages. Try identifying these words and learn more about their origins in English Language Day. And offer to volunteer at a spoken English class or start spoken English classes by yourself. You can teach language to people all age groups and help them to get better at speaking the language. And Shakespeare added over more than 1000 words to English language. And originally, English had 29 letters instead of current 26. And the alphabet uh, now is smaller than before. And English is the official language of airplane travel and is the official language of the air. And the longest word in English is a medical term that refers to a lung disease caused by inhaling sand dust or ash, known as pneumono ultra microscopics silico volcanosis. This is a single word I just broke down so that it is convenient to spell it out. Is a medical term and is the longest word in English. Refers to a lung disease. And the mostly commonly used adjective is good. Some words are most commonly used than others, like adjective good. And English language is the most widely spoken language in the world. And it is a day to cherish the universality of the language. And English language has a long history. Learning the history of the language also helps us to understand the politics that shape the modern world. And English has also become a common medium for music, movies, literature, and other works of art. English Language Day also celebrates the role the language has played in contributing art and culture. Today is also Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day. Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day is a time to gain and spread knowledge of what sufferers are up against and how the society can help. Metastatic means that what began as a case of early stage breast cancer has metastatized or spread to other organs like lungs, bones, etc. There are two types of cancers broadly, which are which does not spread and which spreads to other parts and organs of the body. And this is a day, where the metastatic means, or metastatic cancer for that matter, is a cancer that has metastatized or spread to other organs like lungs, bones, etc., outside the breast, and is now considered to be stage 4 cancer. So at this point, the only care option is to treat the advanced cancer and its side effects, including anxiety. There is no cure for metastatic breast cancer as of this mentioning. Treatments may include surgeries and chemotherapy, as well as possible clinical trials of new drugs, while along with other palliative care can help improve quality of life and lengthen lifespan itself. Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day is part of Breast Cancer Awareness Month and presents an opportunity for us to increase awareness and visibility for those who are campaigning and fighting for scientific advances. In 2009, the House and Senate unanimously passed a resolution to recognize one day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and October as specifically devoted to metastatic breast awareness, breast cancer, in short known as MBC. The best part is how the proposal reached the floors of Congress. To begin with, a group of 9 MBC patients and their families had traveled to Washington, D.C. and picketed and demonstrated, and these brave souls were able to catch the attention with the help of phone-wielding friends back home of the right people to initiate a vote. But this is no time to fall into complacency. The pinpointing of one day merely means that now the world is out and the onus is upon the public to take action. As stated by the Metastatic Breast Cancer Network, now it is up to every metastatic breast cancer patient and those who love and support them to find ways to make use of this day. To further, our cause is to support those living with the disease and demand research to find treatments to extend our lives. So learn the facts and start strong. And with your FAM, or National Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day. And in 1927, a West Virginia senator introduces a bill to reward the person who finds a cure for cancer and to create a commission to research possible cures in 1927. And the National Institute of Health, NIH Revitalization Act of 1993 pushes the National Cancer Institute to do more to address breast cancer and other women cancers, resulting in controlled studies being done on MBC risks and treatments. A study from the National Cancer Institute shows that metastatic breast cancer cases are increasing in number, with 150,000 new cases in MBC in the US in 2017 and cases are on the rise. And an estimated 2 million women find out that they have breast cancer. And it's now the most common cancer in women and the second most cancer in overall cancers. And in 2018, it's an overwhelming numbers. And as you know, we have various ribbons commemorating different cancers. A thin pink ribbon is used to signify that the cancer originated in the breast. So a pink ribbon represents the breast cancer. When is, as already mentioned, October is the breast cancer awareness month. And there is also a term called as scan anxiety. The term refers to ongoing anxiety about the patient's quarterly MBC check, with the anxiety likely to peak as the scan data approaches, and many women are treated for mental anguish of the ordeal as well as the physical symptoms. Every year, it is good for go for checks or scanning, like mammography, where any signs of cancer can be detected. And learn something new in being a part of solution. Start with yourself. Commit to learning something new, whether by doing online research, volunteering with the local organization, or attending a metastatic breast cancer awareness event or an awareness like this. Contribute to the cure. If you are about to choose a major in college, consider medicine with a focus on oncology or other supporting professional role. If not, make a day or yearly donation to the cancer fighting organization. Do anything you can help to overcome the disease. If someone you know is battling breast cancer, you can reach out to them, let them know that you want to understand and what they are going through and to give you a support. And it is always important for all the women and girls to self-examine their breasts at a timely interval, not daily, because if you do it daily, you will not feel the difference. So it is very important, to check your breast and examine your breast once in a week or once in 15 days, that is fortnight, or once in a month. If you daily keep checking, then you will not find major difference. So that is also a self-examination, and period of self-examination is also equally important. So starting with the outside of your breast and moving to inside sternum, use dime-sized circular motions of varying pressure to check for lumps over the entire breast, and check by feeling and repeat for the other breast. So in that way, you can just feel if there are any lumps or, over the entire breast, and repeat for both the breasts. If there are any lumps, if you feel if there are any lumps, then you can get tested and visit an oncology professional or a physician to find out. Not every lump is a cancer. We should not be panicked or feel anxious when you find a lump in your breast. So do a visual check in front of mirror. Do a visual exam from all possible angles, checking for any abnormal coloration, swelling, or discharges, etc. And if you find any of these abnormal coloration, swelling, discharge, etc., immediately consult a physician or a cancer specialist. It is also recommended to do yourself self-examination once in a month after your periods. If your period has ended due to menopause or is irregular, Designate a specific day out of the month for your exam. There is self-examination of your breast. Don't panic. Remember, 80% of all breast lumps turn out to be a non-cancerous. So if you find any lump also, don't panic. Don't become anxious. If you discover one, do call your doctor, but don't let anxiety take hold of you. And it's not just for women. The Mirror Foundation is a respected organization fighting breast cancer in all its forms and recommends not only women but also men should do a monthly self-exam. Though that is rare in men as per the statistics, but still there is a possibility and statistics even for getting a breast cancer in men, though comparatively less, but there is a possibility. So there is nothing wrong in the doing self-examination. And why metastatic breast cancer awareness? Because it is often misunderstood. Metastatic breast cancer is the only deadly form of disease, yet a majority of studies, sources of fundings, and calls for attention are dedicated to detecting and treating early stage cases. It drives new research. As more people understand metastatic breast cancer, more people will be donating and researching and fighting for a cure. Right now, metastatic breast cancer is not classified as a chronic disease, but researchers believe it one day could be, and that the gap is just one example on how much more needs to be found out. It builds support networks. Most of the people know someone who is battling or has battled breast cancer. The more that friends and families of sufferers understand the disease, the better support they can give the patient in fight against MBC. So on this Meta Breast Cancer Awareness Day, and October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, let's start campaigning or start learning more about different cancers and create more awareness among ourselves and others. Today is also National No Bra Day. We'll also look into significance that is also very much related to cancer. Though wearing a bra doesn't cause cancer, but just a second. Basically, it's in the US context. And the moment we get home from work, it's not just about comfort, which falls right in the middle of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's time for women and men to learn about breast health. So it helps remind people that the breast cancer is a potentially fatal disease, but also highly detectable and treatable. So National No Bra Day is an all about learning to spot early warning signs and get an edge in the fighting against the cancer. So National No Bra Day's origins can be traced back to 2 days in the history. July 9, 2011 and October 19, 2011, the latter was founded in Toronto, Canada, where it was originally titled Bra Day by Dr. Mitchell Brown. Bra, that is known as, in short, breast reconstruction and an event of learning and sharing. That's the short form of BRA, BRA, breast reconstruction, and an event of learning and sharing day was celebrated to raise awareness for women who undergo a mastectomy and encourage self-examinations. In July that same year, a person using the pseudonym Anastasia Donuts conceived National No Bra Day to raise breast cancer awareness along with the website to help promote the event's occurrence. 3 years later, the 2 days were combined and pushed to October 13 to be celebrated during the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So the first recorded instance of cancer was in 1600 BC, uh, was mentioned in Egypt on the Edwin Smith papyrus. It described 8 different cases of growths and ulcers found within the breast in Western context. In 1882, first radical mastectomy, the Hartsted mastectomy, which is considered the first radical mastectomy, was performed by American surgeon William Halsted. And in 1985, a week-long organized event occurred in the United States in order to spread breast cancer awareness, marking Cancer Awareness Week launch in 1985. And the pink ribbons became symbol of breast cancer awareness, uh, with the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation began handing out pink ribbons to breast cancer survivors, running its race for the cure event in 1991. And there are related aspects, where there are best pumping bras and best nursing pillows and best baby swaddles and similar, which are related to this uh, Nobra Day, which is celebrated on October 13th. And basically, it is Nobra Day is a female health day focusing on breast cancer prevention. And it was created to raise awareness of the breast cancer and promote self-examination and early detection. And according to John Hopkins Medical Center, 40% of the diagnosed breast cancers are detected by women who feel a lump, and is a key to beating cancer to catch it early. So therefore, there are helpful infographics on internet also about self-examination, and you can also consult a physician for further details. As I already mentioned about how to check your best self-examination, there are different ways. Already in earlier sessions also we created awareness. Maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I will take up this topic also on breast examination, different ways of examining your breast for cancer screening. So if you feel a lump or notice any irregularities such as discharge, dimpling, or puckering, consult your doctor immediately. And participate on social media. Share your support for lawless, braless comrades by documenting their experience on social media. Connecting with others who are also observing holiday can be helpful conversations and tips on great uh, cancer charities and a lot more. And maybe it's a counter initiative, but National No Bra Day is a great excuse to treat yourself to a more comfortable bra. A bra that doesn't fit can be a real pain. So use the spirit of the day to treat yourself to a comfort, and though it is an counter initiative, buy a new bra that is more comfortable for you. And it also raises breast cancer awareness this day, since it is customary for people with breast to wear bras every day. Setting aside a day for purposely not wearing a bra helps more make people more aware of the breast in general. Cancer as a disease relies on people not paying attention to it unless it's too late. But by paying attention and being aware of your breast, you can minimize the risk and you will be severely affected by breast cancer. And it raises breast awareness. We are just going to say it. Breasts are a taboo subject, but if no one talks about them, how are we ever going to lower the risk of breast cancer? So, National No Bra Day is a day where it's okay and even encouraged to talk about breasts. This normalizes them and destigmatizes getting checked for the cancer. And it's the most comfortable day of the year. Non-bra wearers may not realize this, but bras have a tendency to be hideously uncomfortable. National No Bra Day is a great excuse to throw convention to the wind and go out without a bra. Only if you want to choose, of course. It's up to you. And we have a similar commemoration on October 21st. In coming days, we will see National Mammography Day, which is mammography is a scan that helps us to identify if there are any cancerous tissues or lumps in the breast. And today is also National Herbs Awareness Day. National Herbs Awareness Day in context of US as an opportunity to raise awareness around the causes, risks, and treatment of different types of herbs infections, particularly genital herpes. Herbs are more importantly, it's a chance to debunk myths around the disease and start conversations about what it really means to have a genital herpes infection and hopefully destroy the stigma around the disease that impacts nearly 16% of the women and between the ages of 14 and 49. National Herbs Awareness Day is sponsored by FemiClear, a brand that has launched the new over-the-counter genital herpes symptom relief product that has been showing to kill 99% of the herpes simplex 1 and 2 viruses in a laboratory test. In fact, in a test of women experiencing a genital herpes outbreak, more than 90% of them said they experienced less severe outbreak symptoms. It is an independent accredited laboratory test, non-human, non-animal, measured the antiviral activity of FemiClear using a suspension time kill procedure against herbs. As self-reported in a comprehensive IRB-approved study of 50 women diagnosed and actually experiencing a genital herpes outbreak, these women received modest compensation, not a cure for herpes or for a replacement for prescription antiviral medication. Individual results may vary. Data on file based on website femiclear.com. So it is subject to the report. And when we look at the history of herbs, herbs has been one of the most misunderstood and mistreated ailments in the history. It has been around for millions of years and affected nearly every species of human along the evolutionary scale. In fact, in 2017, scientists discovered the ancient primate believed to have been herbs patient zero. Needless to say, we hominids have been dealing with the itching, burning, tingling pain of herbs for millennia. However, the stigma around herbs is relatively new. Throughout most of the medical history, that is 20th century, the stigma of herbs was relatively low. Yes, it was a sexually transmitted infection, but it was also it was also transmitted through other forms of contact, and it wasn't considered a discrete type of infection until 1960s. So by the 1980s, herpes particularly, but herpes simplex 2, the virus known to cause most genital cases, became a very real source of public shame and embarrassment. Time magazine labeled it the new sexual leprosy, bringing with it the expected stigma and turning it into a boogeyman on the level of the other sexually transmitted diseases. The fact is, having herbs shouldn't dramatically change a person's self worth and sexual health. Herbs Awareness Day was created to start a conversation around the condition and encourage people to seek treatment for the symptoms. There's currently no cure, and promote healthy, reasonable discourse about the virus' actual impact on people's lives. It's an important conversation that is long overdue, and the folks at FemiClear are taking the lead as they try to help women living with the genital herpes and get their lives back at the same time, have their business going. And herpes simplex 2 makes a leap nearly 1.5 million years ago. HSV2 made the leap from African apes to one of the early human ancestors, and it has been with us in one form or another since then. And when in Rome, it is believed that due to an outbreak of herpes, Roman Emperor Tiberius temporarily banned kissing. It would be first of many overreactions to the disease throughout history in 1st century AD. And the first reference to herpes simplex is found in Richard Bolston's A System of Rational and Practical Chirurgery, a real page turner were issued, and herpes simplex get its name in 1713. And despite being part of human culture for millennia, the exact nature of herbs wasn't discovered until 1940s when it was identified as a virus. And acyclovir is the first widely used antiviral medication for the treatment of HSV2. It would be followed by several others in subsequent decades, and acyclovir hits the pharmacy shelves in 1974. And the Time magazine contributed to genital herb sensationalism with a cover story inaccurately describing herbs as an epidemic, and helps get the Scarlet Letter on August 2nd, 1982. And Femiclear for genital herpes symptoms hit stores and hit shelves in the US, providing women with herpes symptom relief and leading the charge against the stigma of herpes in September 2020. So the National Herpes Awareness Day, the total data science team surveyed 1,000 Americans about their education and awareness of genital herpes. And many people think herpes is shameful. In fact, 85% of the respondents believe that there is a negative stigma around herpes that makes it difficult to discuss openly, even though 82% wish there wasn't. 43% of the respondents say that the stigma around herpes is worse than the stigma around HIV, but most are accurately clueless about it. less than one-third of the tested respondents on their basic knowledge of herbs, only 31% got a perfect score, and some are avoiding the discussion. Only 73% of the respondents with genital herbs tell every partner that they encounter sexually that they have genital herbs, or simply walking away. 57% of all respondents say that if someone told them they had herbs beforehand, they would not have intimate physical contact with them. So, would you have intimate physical contact with someone who known uh, to have genital herbs? So the response is majority of them, that is 51% of them said no. If someone told me that they had herbs beforehand, I would not have intimate physical contact with them. And the other percentages responded, like 14% of them said yes, as long as they tell me they have herbs upfront, I don't mind. And 11% of them said yes, but only if we use a condom. And 17% of them said yes, but only if I was going to be in a long term relationship. So women are more concerned than men. 60% of the women said that if someone told them they had genital herbs beforehand, they would not have intimate physical contact with them. But many of these, you know, especially STIs, sexually transmitted infections or sexually transmitted diseases, are the ones which are not openly told or talked about and also not informed. Because if you know that a woman or a man is infected with STIs or STDs, definitely you would not be willing to engage a sexual activity with them. So often, many women and men get into contact with STIs and get affected by these STIs and STDs because they don't reveal that they are suffering from infection. So it is also very important for girls, women, boys, or men before engaging in sex. So make sure that your partner is safe and is not having any STIs or STDs. Otherwise, you could also, there is a greater possibility of getting contacted and getting infected by STIs or STDs. So having safe sex and using contraceptive methods like condoms and other uh, are very important before engaging in sex, even especially in married life when your partner is known to have certain or contracted with STIs or STDs. On the contrary, only 37% of the men said the same, that they would avoid, intimate physical contact or sex with them. But women are more affected by herbs. A recent study by the CDC found that among 14 to 19-year-olds, 15.9% of women had been diagnosed with genital herbs versus only 8.2% of men. So that's one in every six women, and at most are looking for natural relief. 83% of respondents with genital herbs wish that they were more natural products or remedies to relieve symptoms of genital herbs. So this was, conducted by Femiclear, which is an over-the-counter drug for relief for genital herb symptoms for women. And this is based on a study of 1,000 survey respondents, and 15% identified as a male and 85% identified as female. The detailed report can be found on the website cdc.gov. If anyone requires, then you can contact me. I will be sharing you exact link or further details on the report. And How many people have genital herpes? Some 12% of the people ages 14 to 49% are believed to have HSV2, and the number is higher for women, 16%. And is there any cure for genital herpes? There is no cure for genital herpes, but there are many effective medications for the treatment of the symptoms. Antiviral medication like acyclovir has been shown to be helpful, and over-the-counter treatments like Femiclear have been shown to effective supplements to prescription treatments to help manage outbreak symptoms. And herpes has been seen with humans for millions of years. And while it can be an uncomfortable condition to have, there are millions who have it. Just know you are not alone. And there are people looking to break down the stigma tied to uh, this disease, and don't feel embarrassed of being herpes diagnosis, and educate yourself about genital herpes, and you should know about HSV1 and 2, probably less than you thought. Take time to educate yourself about these viruses and stigma surrounding, especially because nowadays sexual activity, sexual intimacy is being common, and these many of these STIs and STDs are very much associated with stigma, and you don't know how your partner is, how safe is your partner. And by engaging, there even we have seen many cases where these young children, or for that young teenagers, are getting into sexual activity, and they are contracting with HIV/AIDS. Just one moment of impulse, uh, this thing, and you have ruined your life. So make sure your partner is safe, and you have a safe sexual activity before engaging. Otherwise you could risk yourself with STIs or STDs or even a HIV virus. So have a conversation about genital herpes. It may sound difficult, but the more taboo we make talking about genital herpes, the longer the stigma will continue to impact those with the virus. And there is no brainer, but it's easy to feel too embarrassed to see a doctor. If you are experiencing symptoms, get treated and hopefully kick some of the embarrassment before, because you are not alone. And many times I also mentioned, even to talk to a counselor, many feel, embarrassed, or many do not even talk to counselors also, especially when it is related to their private organs or related to STIs or STDs. So it is very important before engaging in such acts or sexual intimacy acts or sexual courses, where if you once get contracted, then it is very difficult. If you are still feeling embarrassed and you do not look upon or look over to the medical treatment or reach out to a medical professional, then you are risking your life. And as we already mentioned, women are twice as likely to have genital herpes compared to men. And it is estimated that 16% of the women have herpes, while just slightly over 8% of the men have the condition. And this day brings hopes to bring on some of that to light. And it's can often go untreated due to embarrassment, as I already mentioned. Many do not openly talk to the counselors or social workers or psychologists or health and medical allied health professionals. It's not easy that you admit you have some STIs or STDs or HIV or have herpes for that matter, even to a doctor. So many don't seek the treatment. They just need, because the stigma is too great for them. So the genital herpes stigma is pervasive and ill-deserved, and it is a it's a common disease. And while it can't be cured, it can be well treated. And many of these have no cure. just keep that in mind. But it can be managed and it can be treated. And most of these are treated as per symptomatic treatment. I mean, based on the symptoms. So conversation needs to happen to bring this pernicious stigma down. And today is also Train Your Brain Day. So raises awareness on the power of mind and potential benefits of positive mental training. One muscle in a human body cannot be permanently taken away from someone. It has an impact of everything they do and shapes how they specifically see the world. Even though it isn't a muscle, in reality, it nevertheless much more potent than the strongest muscle in the body. People can become ill or well by using their minds. So people may have a sense of paranoia and deceit in other people's actions as a result of this, or they may simply be able to notice how others are coping with life. The day history is still unknown, but everyone is aware that the day was specifically for everyone to exercise and grow their brain while learning new things with the power and ability that this day possesses. It has great potential to impact a large number of lives. This day was developed to urge everyone to use more of your brain's potential capacity by expanding and exercising it. The importance of brain exercise cannot be overstated. Routine tasks do not maintain mental sharpness. So this day urges us to be more, uh, use more of our brain's potential capacity by expanding and exercising it. It is undisputable or indisputable that a mind is a strong tool and weapon. Whether one views it as a capacity to come up with innovative new ideas, solve math equations, and construct towering structures, or as the ability to affect people's feelings and thoughts about themselves and others. People deliberately train their brains every day, teaching them how to react to events, telling them what they are capable of, and even determining how to interpret others' thoughts and behaviors. So, reading, word puzzles, number games, brain teasers, trivia games, riddles, and word games are all good activities to work out your mind and develop your cognitive skills. Even simply learning something new is beneficial workout for everyone's brain. So, National Train Your Brain Day serves as a timely reminder that how the brain feels, thinks, and reacts to the world all are controllable variables. And this is an excellent day to try to teach your or our brains to make the most of everything. And the first known cognitive training research, which aimed to cognitively train pupils with letter memorization activities, is published in the Journal of Education Psychology and is the first ever recorded cognitive training in 1910. And Max Knoll and Ernest Ruska devised the electron microscope, which can magnify up to 1 million times and allow researchers to examine the brain in greater detail in 1931. In 2005, with the introduction of brain age signals, a shift in the field science, since before products or services were sold to be very specific demographics. For example, students with learning problems, and brain age changes the game in 2005. And firms selling cognitive training goods and services market them as increasing educational results for children, enhancing memory, processing speed, and problem solving skills in adults, and even avoiding dementia or Alzheimer's disease. In 2016, cognitive training for Alzheimer's disease also started. So aside from learning, doing adequate research, researching out to be like-minded individuals for advice and keeping an out for additional possibilities and alternatives may all help people becoming better decision makers. And to permanently rewire your brain, you must practice visualization for at least 6 weeks for only 5 to 10 minutes every day. If you have a busy day, consider performing the practice before going to bed or first thing in the morning. That's why morning meditation or morning prayers, early morning prayers or meditation, or even that for that matter, early morning studying also helps in gaining and rewiring the brain and in remembering. Brain training games can be entertaining, but we cannot yet declare that they develop your brain. Brain training studies have revealed something we all experience daily. Practicing a task improves our performance on that activity, but does not always improve other performance or over performance on other activities. So keep doing it again and again so that you can become, you know, you can develop and your performance and speed on that activity. So changing things around your routine, uh, you will not only notice changes in your area, but also you'll be giving your brain a chance to shake off some rust. Generally, brain doesn't have any rust. It's just, used. Extend your interest. Consider taking a culinary or music class. Both will aid in development of your brain as you acquire new abilities. Even in our ancient Sanatana Dharma, a lot of music and dance is part of, and arts are part of, our culture and traditions. But unfortunately, nowadays, these young people are getting away from this traditional music. You can see the other religions which came later, like Christianity or Islam. They use, you see, in Christianity, every child is being taught piano, all musical instruments, but they have learnt everything from the Sanatana Dharma, that is being the oldest religion on the planet. And where other religions are fostering, their own uh, cultural practices using musical instruments, but there is big, uh, lack of, I think, awareness that we also need to continue that practice. Otherwise, why uh, other people are still using it, and music is a very good option. So it has to be continued. So all our traditions and cultures and traditions have a very scientific practices, and it is practiced by everyone on a planet in one form or other. Only thing is like being lack of awareness, and there is no strict enforcement or implementation, because it's a matter of choice and not a matter of compulsion or a strict enforcement, that we are losing most of our knowledge and practices just because it's an optional for us. But it is not optional really. It's to reach your highest potential. All these are very much important and pertinent, and solve a lot of puzzles and riddles, play games such as treasure or scavenger hunts that use your intellect, and like playing chess and many such games. And by playing this type of game, you are also training your brain and improving your cognitive abilities and develop a new habit. A new habit might take anywhere between 18 to 254 days to form, with the average number of days in this period being 66, and it varies from research to research and study to study. So, the strongest muscle in the body is said to be the brain, and the most powerful muscle. and is considered your worst enemy as well, along with your best friend. So drive into creative ratio. If you run out of ideas, you may engage in creative use of your mind through hobbies such as painting, crafting, writing, reading, and so forth. And physical activities also is an excellent way to improve your mind. And when you are making difficult judgments, our brain also needs glucose. So it's sugar rush in the morning. And the brain is a fascinating organ, and it also poses a significant obstacle in brain research. We can motivate many individuals to investigate the brain and discover many wonderful things if we raise enough awareness and educate them. And your brain has the potential to learn and expand as you age, a process known as brain plasticity. You must exercise it regularly for it to do so. Otherwise, pruning happens, and you tend to uh, keep forgetting, and you lose your memory. And it also reminds us learning can be enjoyable. Math and science can sometimes feel like arduous academic topics, but we recognize how much fun and exciting learn and logical thinking can be because of our efforts. And today is also World Sight Day, is observed and is initiated by Lions Club International Foundation during their Sight First campaign in an effort to spread awareness about preventable blindness and help people who are visually impaired. In 1917, Melvin Jones established Lions Club International, which was a service organization. And the Lions Club International has organized a variety of projects across the globe, like fundraisers for typhoons and cyclone victims, diagnosis and management for people with hearing disorders, community hearing and cancer screening projects, and a lot more. One of the well-known Lions Club International projects was the Sight First campaign. Started in 1990, this campaign aimed to fight blindness due to trachoma and other causes of blindness. These campaigns helped over 488 million people who were visually impaired. During the Sight First campaign in 2000, the Lions Club International and Lions International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness proclaimed every second Thursday of October to be observed as World Sight Day. So the primary objective was to draw public's attention to the importance of the following safe practices to prevent blindness and other problems related to vision. Medication kits and financial assistance were provided to the needy. This day observed by millions of people worldwide to spread awareness about eye care and also to appreciate the gift of vision, which is a blessing in every sense of the word. The day was also a step towards the World Health Organization's Vision 2020, which aimed to intensify and accelerate prevention of blindness activities so as to achieve the goal of eliminating avoidable blindness by 2020. In 2020, World Sight Day was celebrated with the theme named Hope in Sight, and over 755 World Sight Day events were organized in about 160 countries worldwide. And as already discussed, Lions Club International was founded by William Perry Woods, and it's born in 1916. And in 1917, Lions Club International goes international under the guidance of Secretary Melvin Jones. Lions Club International becomes the international organization, service organization. And the first campaign was initiated in 1990, and the Lions Club International proclaims that every second Thursday will be observed as World Sight Day in 2000. Since then, uh, a free eye checkup camp is organized on this day, that is World Sight Day, and there are many eye clinics and hospitals that offer free eye checkup Find out from your nearest hospital if they plan to organize such an event. You can also even motivate them if aren't any existing plans already. You can create awareness and talk to them and organize a camp. And you have to register, and we all have to register with the eye bank and concerned authorities for eye donation. The eyes have to be taken within 4 to 5 hours of death. So by donating our eyes, we give the gift of vision to someone in need after our death, thereby making a difference in the world even after our death. And you can, many charitable organizations also are looking for donations for helping the visually impaired. Find out local charitable trust in your locality or city, or donate directly to the Lions Club International or the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, or whichever you are interested in, which is contributing uh, in prevention of blindness, or uh, to bringing back the sight to the visually impaired or blind people for whom vision can be restored. And about 95% of blindness is preventable. So educate people about healthy practices, medications, and treatments available. You can team up with the Lions Club International and help spread the word. Get an eye checkup. This would be a great time to get your eyes checked. The doctor will examine the condition of blood vessels in your retina and check the overall functioning of your eyes and vision. Go to the nearest eye clinic and also motivate your family members and friends to get their eye checks done. And eyes developed millions of years ago. It is estimated that eyes developed in mammals about 500 millions ago. And they are crucial for information. Almost 80% of the information that your brain process comes from the eyes. And eyes are the fastest muscle, contracting in less than 1/100th of a second. The eyes are the fastest muscle in human body, and a blink lasts 100 milliseconds. The blink of a human eye can last anywhere between 100 to 150 milliseconds. A sight test can determine other ailments. Conditions like high blood pressure or high sugar levels can also be detected in an eye test. And millions of people do not have access to medical care. It is said that if half of the world population does not have access to proper medical care and resources, so it is important for people to recognize the gravity of the situation and do their part in helping people and to obtain medical supervision they are entitled to. This day draws attention to the fact and that 85% of the blindness is preventable, and yet millions are visually impaired because they didn't receive treatment. And it's a reminder that sight is a gift. We have to realize that we wouldn't be enjoying the world's beauty, its color, and its detail if we weren't not for our eyes. So we often take our eyesight for granted and become careless, not realizing the sight is a truly gift that we have been grateful for. This day reminds us to take care of our eyes and also to show love and support to those who can't see. And it's also a day, a reminder to get your eyes checked and not neglect our bodies. And detecting cataracts in early stages can help prevent blindness. And this day provides an opportunity and a reminder to finally get an eye checkup if you have been postponing since long. And finally, today is also World Thrombiosis Day. This is last commemoration for the day. Due to past time, we are already having exceeded, but we started late. So this would be the last commemoration. The International Society on Thrombiosis and Hemostasis created the World Thrombosis Day campaign in 2014 to bring awareness to the frequently disregarded and misunderstood condition of thrombosis. Global thrombosis related disorders cause 1 in every 4 deaths, and astonishingly, blood clots affect up to 9 lakh people in the United States alone each year. About 1 lakh of them will pass away, which is greater than total annual death toll from AIDS, breast cancer, and automobile accidents. So this is also widely seen nowadays with people who constantly sit or stand and work for long hours. And as scientists, researchers, and healthcare professionals, you are aware that the heart attack, stroke, and venomous thromboembolism are the top 3 causes of cardiovascular death worldwide. And thrombosis is the most common disease causing these events. Many of these deaths can be prevented, though. Thrombosis is a medical disorder that occurs when blood clots clog blood vessels, and venous thrombosis and arterial thrombosis are 2 forms of thrombosis. When a blood clot stops the vein, this is known as venous thrombosis. When a blood clot plugs an artery, this is referred to as arterial thrombosis. Thrombosis affects up to 9 lakh people in the United States alone each year, and many people who have venous thrombosis will have the long-term consequences. Some of these symptoms include swelling, discomfort, and skin discoloration. Each year, up to 1 lakh individuals in the United States die as a result of thrombosis. On a worldwide scale, 1 in every 4 people dies as a result of thrombosis related illness. The first World Thrombosis Day was held on October 13, 2014 to raise awareness on the critical health concern. World Thrombosis Day is an educational project led by the International Society on Thrombosis and Hemostasis ISTH and overseen by prominent medical and public health specialists to lower the considerable illness burden caused by thrombosis. The goal of World Thrombosis Day is to raise awareness of thrombosis, including its causes, risk factors, signs and symptoms, and evidence-based prevention and treatment. Finally, the effort aims to minimize the number of people who die or disabled as a result of the condition. The World Thrombosis Day mission supports the World Health Assembly's worldwide goal of lowering non-communicable disease related premature deaths by 25% by 2025, as well as the World Health Organization's Global Action Plan from non-communicable disease prevention control between 2013 and 2020. So in 1271, first well-documented case of thrombosis, Kroll experiences unilateral edema in the ankle that spread to the leg. And in 1600s, clot forming in blood vessels, Mercurialis notices clots occurring in blood vessels at normal body temperature. And there, in 1628, blood circulation study by William Harvey, an English physician, presents the first research on blood circulation. And the first Thrombosis Day, as already mentioned, is held on October 13th in 2014 to raise awareness about the significant health concern. And the awareness ribbon color for blood clots, especially DVT, is deep red. The color of PE awareness ribbon is red and white when combined. And as already mentioned, anything that prevents your blood from flowing or clotting probably might cause a blood clot. DVT is mostly caused by damage to a vein caused by surgery or trauma, as well as inflammation caused by injury or infection. So Deep vein thrombosis is more common in adults over the age of 50. It is also more prevalent in those who are overweight or obese. If you are pregnant or a first 6 weeks after giving birth, you are also at risk of developing thrombosis. So on this day, participate in events like live webinars, instructive seminars, distinguished speakers, and the design contests are also among the events. Interviews with thrombosis survivors and medical experts are also, you can engage and participate in such events on this day to gain more insights. And many have no symptoms. Blood clots might be asymptomatic or cause your limb or arm to enlarge and ache. Blood clots can break loose. Blood clots can break free and move to your lungs, pulmonary embolism, causing breathing issues and perhaps death. Some patients are more vulnerable. People with autoimmune illnesses, such as lupus and those living with HIV, are also at increased risk for VTE. No routine screening. Screening tests for common illness such as diabetes and high cholesterol are available, but there are no evidence-based screening tests for blood clots. And lifestyle is an important for prevention. Some risk factors such as age or family history are unchangeable, but behaviors are. And this day encourages individuals to live a healthy lifestyle. Individuals begin to encounter new people who can correct and understand by watching the day and participating in healthy activities. People throughout the world are united by the shared goal of improving health, and this is encouraged and should be done regularly. With this, we shall come to the end of commemorations for this day. Though there are lot many commemorations, but with the time constraints, uh, we are ending this. And finally, uh, last but least, today is also Karwa Chauth, is a popular Hindu festival celebrated, and it is always held on the fourth day of after full moon in this month and 9 days before Diwali. So on this day, married women, especially in northern India, take time to fast from sunrise to moonrise. During this fast, they pray for the safety, health, and long life of their husbands. They have traditions from preparing various foods, decorating the dishes to break the fast, with which clothing to wear, and even the gifts they give to one another. Women begin preparing for Karwa Chauth a few days ahead of time by buying some adornments, jewelry, lamps, and henna, based on their financial capability. Local bazaars look festive as shopkeepers put their colorful Karwa Chauth products on display. Karwa is another word for pot, and Chauth means fourth. So big earthen pots to store wheat are sometimes called karwas. So the fast may have begun as a prayer for a good harvest in the wheat-eating northwestern region of India. That's why this festival is, widely practiced and followed in North India, especially. And it is said that this festival began when women started praying for the safe return of their husbands who went to fight wars in distant lands. It is also believed that it is celebrated to mark the end of harvest season. Whatever the origins, there are different stories regarding this festival, but the festival offers an occasion to strengthen family ties. There are various mythological tales related to Karwa Chauth, and one of the most popular ones is the Queen Veeravati, the only sister of seven brothers who tricked her about the rise of the moon, causing her to break her fast ahead of time. This later led to her husband, the king, dying. However, upon her persistent crying, a goddess told her to repeat the fast. When she did this, her husband's life was restored. So, on this day of Karwa Chauth, married women wake up early in the morning before sunrise to eat sergi, a meal usually prepared by mothers in law if they live together, and mostly consisting of vermicelli, milk, vegetables, and dried fruits. After this, they neither eat nor drink anything from sunrise until the moon appears. Fasting women choose to wear Karwa Chauth special dress like a traditional sari to like or any traditional dress to look their best. In some regions, women wear the traditional dress of their states, and this date backs quite long, but across the festival was introduced and practiced most commonly across northern India. And a lot of Bollywood movies also, even nowadays, movies also uh, are shown. These cultural practices and traditions are also shown in serials and movies. And a Bollywood film, The Big Hearted, will take the bride, in which the festival is celebrated in all its romantic splendor, is released on October 20, 1995. So it gives detailed account of its, uh, of the festival with a romantic splendor. You can watch that movie. The Big Hearted Will Take the Bride. And Karwa Chauth in ads, the car brand Chevrolet releases an advert for their Optra model that depicts the festival in 2003. And groups of unmarried women also started to keep fast out of sense of friendship. Through this is though this is not practiced everywhere due to some feeling that celebration emphasizes women's dependence on men. This feminine bonding ritual is also started since 2000, and Karak is a name for earthen pots used to offer sacrifices to the moon, while Karwa Chauth festival is a festival of prayer and fasting, so two are related. And on this day of Karwa Chauth, women apply henna on their hands and feet. They believe that if the color of mehndi is dark, it is a sign that wife will get much more care and love from their husbands. And the goddess Parvati and Lord Shiva are worshipped on this day of Karwa Chauth. And with good company, fasting is much more bearable. So husbands could spend time with their wives on this day, talking, watching, engaging in any other fruitful or fun activity that is not physically exerting. Raise awareness if you are not celebrating this festival or such festivals, traditions, and customs. The value of appreciation for your spouse may be worth discussing with those around you. This is a good for marriages in any culture that could lead to you forming new family traditions that celebrate each other. And fasting is a difficult thing to do and leaves little strength for any activities unless you are very much used to it. So appreciate her efforts by preparing a sumptuous meal for your wife to break the fast with. So the first Karwa Chauth after the wedding ceremony has most significant spiritual significance for a wife, and the first Karwa Chauth is more important. And during the day's fast, the women are not to eat or drink anything at all, not even a drop of water. But depending on the health condition, some consume water also. And karvas are exchanged. New karvas, spherical clay pots that are 7 to 9 inches in diameter and hold roughly 1 gallon of water, are brought painted on the outside with beautiful designs and exchanged among female friends. The Karwa Chauth song, Puja, is also sung by participating women while passing their decorated plates around in a circle. And the belief in the fast and its associated rituals goes back to as long as 5000 BC, and it's a day for prayer for life. The spiritual act of praying for the life of one's spouse is vital and could be embraced in most cultures. We could thus all of a sort participate in this practice. It reminds us of the value of wives, our partners. Fasting all day without even water shows how sacrificial wives can be, or our spouse can be, which husbands should appreciate. And this mutual appreciation is an important for each day, not just for a festival day. It also helps to strengthen bonds, and this day fosters love, strengthens family bonds, and also celebrates the relationship between female friends. And in our age, in which relationships are being eroded, this is an important occasion. So, with this, we conclude the commemorations. Hope everyone has enjoyed, and thank you for being joining with us for these wonderful commemorations. And we thank everyone, and kindly fill up the feedback form for the day. And yesterday there was some technical problem due to which the session was ended abruptly. So don't worry about yesterday's. Uh, we will issue certificates, yesterday certificates as per attendance. So no need to worry about feedback form of yesterday's. Today, kindly fill up the feedback form. Feedback form has been raised in the Zoom platform in the form of polls. So quickly fill up the feedback form before you leave the platform. And thank you everyone for joining us. See you all tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Good night. Before leaving, kindly fill up the feedback form.